Maybe just me? Nobody else wants to be recorded? Okay. How about I put it back here and then they can see everything. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Yes, it's
For the assessed grade, if you do the final, do you have to apply, like, are you gonna be able to grade the final before you apply for the assessed grade? 'Cause you said you have to have the grades back first.
Yeah.
Cause I was thinking of doing the scholarly article and the final.
Yeah.
But you said we can't apply for assessed grade until the grades are back.
So there is a Q&A today with the people that have set this whole thing up, and I'm gonna go and ask, how can you, yeah, why do you have to have all your marks back before you choose your assessed grade? Because, for example, if you choose to do the scholarly article and the final exam, you've already made your choice by not doing the other two. So it doesn't, there's no logic to this process that I can see. Maybe I've got it wrong.
The
Yes.
listening forums are worth 30% of our overall.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be continuously doing them, so how is that gonna factor into the choice of the assessed grade? Is it just gonna be a continual, and if you hit the benchmark, then the rest of the forms fall off? Because if you need that mark back, then how would that be factored in?
Forums are compulsory. Yeah, so on, I'll just bring up the remediation, excuse me, notes so that you know where to check if you have questions about this.
I would assume the last forum is due in the last week then, so how would that factor in if we need our marks back in order to choose the assessed grade?
We have to mark fast.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much all we're gonna be doing in the next week is marking fast. So, yeah. Here we go. What to do for an assessed grade. So compulsory is your term engagement and your listening forums and your mystery instrument presentation. That's not actually compulsory, but most of you've done it and you've got the 5% and it's good mark, so why not? So then you need to add 2 of the following. So do the listening forums, and that's actually what we're going to do today in this tutorial is how to do better on listening forums, because some people are doing great, some people are not doing so great. Okay, does that help? No.
Well,
No.
The only question I have though is, so we have to choose the assessed grade at least a week before the end of the term, correct?
You need to choose it by the 26th.
Yeah, so I would assume that there's going to be a listening forum like right up next to it, or?
No, because, and let me, so the last listening forum would be the 16th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
26 of May.
yes, May.
Oh.
Yeah. And that date's on there too, see, May 26th, last date to apply for assessed grade, and that's a Sunday. So is this all as clear as can be for now? Until your next barbarian? Pardon? Yeah. I know, it's crazy, and every time there's a strike, this process is different, so, you know, that's why I don't understand this whole assessed grade. You need to have all your marks back before you can do it. That makes no sense to me, but I'll figure that out this afternoon, and if it's different than what I've been telling you, I will certainly let you know. Yeah. Okay, any questions? Sorry, I don't remember your name. I had to review theirs too. Colin, you're Colin. Okay, excellent. Okay, great. So everybody's clear, and if you come up with more questions, first of all, this document is under week 7 of E-class, and you know, put a question in the Q&A, and I'm watching that pretty closely these days, and we'll try to jump on and answer it as fast as I can. Yeah, Derek.
I'm just reading there. It said that I will offer 1 in-person tutorial for those who prefer in-person learning. Is that the PA hours for the in-person there?
That's instead of you going to, so the 4 TAs right now are doing online tutorials.
Yeah.
Simultaneously as them, each week, I'm gonna be here to do 1 in person because I want to offer 1 in person.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You don't have to go to both. Just go to one or the other.
And your TA hours will be after this class or another?
Oh, office hours? My
Yeah.
office hour, well, yes, after this class, yeah.
Um,
TA's office hours.
The TA's office hours, just email them and find out when they're gonna do them.
Ida is also doing that. Like, if you want to join her Zoom and right after this, if you want to talk to her for an hour, you can do that.
well, I've got private lesson. What time?
But you know, everybody is, if you can't make her office hours, she will make a Zoom with you another time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
just let her know.
All right.
Yeah.
What TAs are going to grade our forums and?
We're sharing it all. We're sharing it all. Yeah. Yeah. It's too much. I mean, yeah, we all need to. Yeah.
Curious, were there guidelines from York in terms of like online, like making everything online, like for TAs as well, like did they have to be online? Or
No.
Was it like their individual call or like?
Yeah.
how did you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Choose to.
They chose to be online. I initially said we were all gonna be in person and that was not appreciated, so, you know, that's fine, you know, I want people to be happy, so. Yeah. Trying to make everybody happy. Yeah, so okay, let's go on and talk about forums then. And then if other questions come up, I'm happy to address them as we go. So, so you've done, I don't know, actually 7 or 8 forums already. And what do you think makes a good forum answer? Considering that there's been a wide range of questions, so it can't be too specific. But what do you do to make sure that you're getting 10 out of 10 on your forum answer?
5 sentences.
Pardon?
5 sentences.
5 sentences? Well, some of them are 5 sentences, some of them are not. I know Matthew always wanted 5 sentences, but mine are a little bit more.
Actually, you wanted more.
Oh, you did? Okay.
He said 5.
It was fun.
He said 5, but we all know he meant 10.
Well, he wanted 5, but he wanted to be elaborate.
Long, complex, 5 long, complex. Okay. So mine, yeah, sometimes it's point form, sometimes it's sentences. Yeah, Derek?
Yeah, I think answering the essence, looking into the essence of the question is the key to
Yeah.
answering a.
Actually answering the question and not just talking around the question. Usually if you lose. Yeah, okay, there, thank you, Colin.
We live in the.
Could you do some Ghanaian dancing for us? Okay, thank you.
Oh.
So that's number 1. It's surprising how many answers do not actually address the question that's been asked. So just double check that, okay? Yes, Aaron.
Yeah. Like connections from class, because usually the forums are about something we talked about in class.
Good. And it can be the class that you've just had. It can be from a few weeks ago. Somebody in one of the Ghanaian answers made a really good point connecting the informality to Celtic sessions, which you'd done in the first term. I knew you'd done it, so that was a good way of making connections. Good, yeah.
So, connecting to her words, I think if we connect some of our words to the reading is gonna be efficient too. The readings that we have done it in the course, and at the same time, like, if we make the paragraph as like a very human words, like speaking, that makes like the reader just think, wow, she knows a lot about this. She's like really talking, it's really her words.
Yes.
Not like internet or.
Yes.
ChatGPT.
Yes, or lots of, you know, copying and pasting parts of sentences out of the reading or something
Yeah.
like that. So I know you understand it when you put it in your words. Yeah, excellent, good. Yeah.
I assume actually justifying your answer rather than just stating it as a fact.
Yes, using examples either from the reading or the listening or from class or from your own life is fine too, but using examples, excellent.
I want to add one more detail that if you really like define your words, like what do you mean by rubato? What do you mean by,
Yeah.
like, that's something that Macri taught us.
Yeah.
And I really lost lots of mark on that because like, it was like, what do you mean by fast? What do you mean
Yes,
by
yeah, yeah,
temper? What do you
Yeah.
mean by that? Like,
Yeah.
I have to define everything on a very
Yeah.
like large paragraph. So,
well, yeah, not too large, but
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, make sure, I mean. Yeah, fast, slow, those are relative terms, right? So they're not that meaningful unless you can put them into relationship with something else. Things like timbre, we know, but if you say something like, the song is very joyous,
exactly.
what is joy, why is it joyous? What are you hearing that makes you react joyous? And somebody else may hear it as aggressive. But I want to know what the musical sounds you hear are that are telling you that it's joyous. Okay, so that's a very, very, very good point.
It was like saying that pretend that whatever you're writing is like meaningless to the person that is reading, because the person that is reading is not a musician or person that's studying music. So you have to define everything as be clear as like they understand it.
Yes, or also, you can use terms and vocabulary that we are using in class, right? You can assume that if we've talked about a certain terminology, like if we talk about timbre, we know what timbre means. Timbre means the sound, the quality of the sound of whatever is playing. So you can just make some assumptions, and it actually is really good when you can use that vocabulary in the right way. And then again, we go, they really get what timbre is. They really understand. Instead, some people use it and what they actually mean is texture. And it's very obvious from the sentence that they don't understand what timbre means. So if you use the vocabulary and use it in the right way. Good. Yeah. Let me just see if there's anything else here.
Done on time.
Pardon, if done on time is helpful, yes. Although 3% a day, like I'm marking them out of 100. So 3% a day, I mean, it's negligible. So even if it's a few days late, now if it's months late, then there's no, yeah. So answer it fully. If there's 3 parts to the question, answer all 3 parts. Don't skip one. And ideally label the parts. Like if there's a question 1 and a question 2, label your answers 1 and 2. Sometimes there's just this great big wall of words and we're stuck going through and going, oh yeah, I think that's related to number 1. And there's 2, and oh, this would work for number 1 again. And we're trying to put your answer into a format. And also if it asks for 10 points, number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Makes it really easy. Then I don't even have to take time to count to see if you got 10 down there. It's just obvious. So those sorts of things help the marker, and then by the time we get to the end, we're not grumpy at everybody. Okay, just you want us to be happy.
Like,
I
I use some words like firstly, second.
Perfect.
Like in a
Yep.
paragraph.
Yep, that works too. Perfect. Good. And then the last one's a little more subtle, but don't go with your initial reaction, or use your initial reaction, but take some time to think about it. And so this is why you don't want to do it at 5 to 9, right? You want to be able to read the question, do an answer, and then, I don't know, go brush your teeth and get ready for school, and then come back and read it again and go, oh, I forgot this. This would be a great point to add in here. I'm going to take this one out and add this one instead. So, the more we think about these things, usually the more we realize we know, and the more we can express. So, helpful tips. Yep. Good. So that's good. Now we're going to look at a couple of examples. These are composite examples I've made up. I've looked at many of the answers to these two questions and kind of put them together into two fake questions. So nobody's gonna sit here and go, oh, that's my answer. And they're not labels weak and strong or bad and good, they're just answers. But I want us to think about what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses and how they could be made stronger, okay? So the first one is, oops, I need to just come up with my PowerPoint. Okay, so it's the one on Ghanaian music and slideshow. Actually, I don't want to do slideshow, do I? Oh, that's not, okay, well. How do I minimize this? Oh, yeah, this is another one. Okay. So, let's look at this question. Watch this performance, describe everything you see, feel, hear, think. Keep your pens or fingers moving, don't pause. Now watch this performance. How is the second performance different than the first? You should be able to come up with 10 substantial differences between the performances. So right away, what's your strategy to answer this?
Notes.
Yes. Yes, good.
Strategy without, just for what we can see right now.
That's right. Yeah.
So differences.
So, okay, sorry. I don't think I framed the question properly. Without even watching those videos, how are you going to answer this question? What's your question going to look like? What's your answer going to look like? I mean,
Probably very big picture to the details.
well, probably not, because read the first question. Watch this performance and describe everything you see, hear, feel, think of. How would you answer that?
Well, I'd be looking at what they're wearing,
Yeah.
where it's taking place.
Yeah, you're more detailed than I'm looking for though. What I'm looking for is just a point form list of notes that just everything you see here, keep your pen moving, writing. Probably 3 pages full of blah, 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 right? There's always something to see, something different. In the second question, what are you going to do? Again, this is the big picture strategy. This isn't the actual content.
Now we should make the differences.
Now you should make the differences. So everything you write should be a compare with the first one, right? And how many points are you going to make? 10, at least 10. And it's really helpful if you can label those for me. Okay. So, I'm I am gonna play the examples and, or at least a short clip of the examples. So if you're writing, you're gonna say, performance video. Men sitting in front, women and men standing behind, blue percussion instruments with white tops. Men in front. Now, one down. There's so when we're talking, there's some 5 minutes. There's female, about 1 down. There's the idea. So it's as if,
And this is what I was trying to get at when doing the musical ethnography too. It's as if somebody isn't there and you're giving them the play-by-play, right? So that they could read your notes and they can feel like they were there. It's kind of like color commentary for the hockey game, right? Kind of, not quite, but, so you're telling us what you're seeing. Mostly what I was doing there was what I was seeing, but then once I start running out of things to say about what I'm seeing, I'm talking about what I'm hearing. Right? You can say it's a sunny day, there seems to be a dirt floor, there's a fence on the one side, like describe everything, keep your pen moving. That's what ethnography is. And then, so let's go to number 2. Any questions about this so far? No. So let's stop that. And now what are some of the points, just by having watched that much of both clips? What are some of the substantial differences you would, yeah,
The first one seems more like formal, whereas the second one was more informal.
and what is telling you it's formal and what is telling you it's informal? It's a good point and it's a substantial difference, but now tell me what you're seeing or hearing that is telling you that.
Yeah, for example, in the first one, they all have like very similar outfits. The drums are all decorated the same way.
Good.
Then in the second one, it seems kind of more informal because people are filming. The dancing is very different. It's more of a group of people and it doesn't seem to have a lot of order. And then the instruments as well are also different. They aren't the same type of instruments. Like some of the drums were smaller, one was bigger. There was one that was like a square, I think.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, good. Yes.
So, because it's informal, because, they don't have a very dense, very like common dance pattern that they're doing. They're like, it's a very street like performance,
But how do you know it's a street performance? You're right.
because they don't have a very proper instrument. They don't have a very
Oh,
proper.
wait a minute, proper instruments?
Yeah, they're like using some pots, like pot, and they're not actually drums.
Okay, I think some of them are, but okay, some of them are
I
not.
had some other like.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe improvised percussion instruments, yeah, okay.
And they're
good.
sitting, like, they don't have a very proper floor, this is like a ground, and even
But I think the first one was also on the ground, wasn't it?
yeah, but they had like a very setting, like a very, yeah, it's like a stage, and their background is like very clean,
Yeah, yeah.
and, there's not very like audiences there, it's just like recording for something purposely. And,
But this is being recorded too,
yeah,
right?
but it's not purposely, it's just like,
Well, he's purposely, he's not just accidentally
Yeah.
recording it, right? So, yeah,
but like
This
a
is good.
professional recording, it's like a.
okay.
First one is professional recording, and the second one is just like people just recording it and sharing it. And like, I think it's.
Don't make assumptions, Sagi. You're doing right. This is absolutely great. Just pretend that you've got somebody like me questioning every word you say. So professional recording. What does that mean? Does that mean one's getting paid and one's not? Maybe that's what it means, but we don't know that. We don't know that information. But you're right about the first one. There's a frame to the video, right? And it's been framed with this fence and this backdrop, and the drums are laid out to create this kind of front, but they're facing the camera. And in the second one, people aren't worrying about facing any, they're just, yeah. So you're totally on the right track. That's good.
I was like reviewing my, writing through this discussion, and I just realized that I didn't mention 10 points. I was like, yeah, this is the difference, and I counted, it was like 10 or so. I was trying to say like, yeah, I know the answer, but that, I don't know, that time, I was like blind or anything, but.
That's, yeah, and that's fine, like, yeah, it's fun. And maybe you were doing it, you know, when you were tired or at the last minute or whatever, and that's all fine. I'm not expecting you all to be perfect on every forum. I'm just saying, keep these ideas in mind when you're doing the next ones, because I'm gonna mark more of the ones after this tutorial, now that you have more ways of thinking about them. Yeah, okay, yeah.
The other thing was that the first one did not have dancing as far as we've watched so far.
That's right.
So it didn't have any dancing, whereas the second one it did.
Right, right. Now, we know that in the first one, there is
Yeah,
some later on, but you're right, absolutely right. And that's a very obvious stark difference. Good, yeah.
So the first one, it opens before the video starts with an advertisement for the group, and you can see their phone number on the side, and
Right.
all their drums are labeled with their name.
Right,
It's very clear that it's like a defined professional group,
yeah,
whereas you don't see any of that sort of uniformity or advertising with the second one.
excellent. Yeah, good, good, good. Yeah, Derek.
Yeah, and the second one does appear like it's in a village. I say that because of the backdrop where you can see almost mountainous and trees, and then you can see little kind of houses around where they are in, whether the yard or whether they're in the road of that village, and I assume it's like a gathering that they may do. How often, I don't know, but it appears like it's a cultural thing that is happening there in terms of dance. The dancing is between a man and a woman also is something that I've noticed there.
So make sure you always compare them though. Don't just make the observation.
Okay,
But that, you know, your points are good. So that there's more interaction between men and women in dancing physically in the second video. We haven't seen the dancing in the first video, but in the first video, they're doing choreographed line dances. They're all doing the same thing. There's no real interaction between the dancers, like physically reacting to each other. So make that point. The idea about the village, just don't get carried away with assumptions. Like, it could very well be that first video is also in a village, right? It could be in the place where they practice. It could be right. So we can't say that it's not in a village, although the second one looks more obvious that it probably is. Yeah.
yeah, well, I was saying that because the second of the first one doesn't move away from where it is, so,
Mhm,
you know, we
mhm.
definitely can't assume
Right.
that is in
Any-
the village,
right.
whereas the other one gives us clues
Yeah.
that it possibly could.
Yeah.
be. So that's what I mean.
Good. Yeah, Colin.
I think it's like the more clear difference is that the second one is outdoors. The first one might be outdoors, but I mean, it's a place.
Yeah.
It's obviously a venue.
Yeah,
One of them is a venue, one of them is,
in the street or in a. open-
somewhere open where
Yeah.
we can assume that well, somewhere that hasn't been prepared for.
Right, good. Yeah, yeah, good. Okay, so now I want to show you a couple of composite answers, and you be me and the TAs and okay, so here's answer one. Oh, shoot, sorry. Okay. So what's good about this answer and what is not so good about this answer? Yeah, very short, given how long that video is, right? Yeah,
It's not defining anything, like repetitive, joyful, no shakers, so why is no shakers?
well, we can't say why there's no shakers.
What's the difference? Like, where is it no shakers?
Okay.
Where
okay.
did you see it?
Oh, right here, I see, okay. I was looking at the first part, yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't say, in the first performance, they're using shakers as one of the percussion tools. In the second one, we can't see any shakers and I can't hear any shakers. Something like that would be fine. Yeah. Yeah,
At least they got 10 points on the second.
yes.
The first one is also comparing to the second one when the second performance is supposed to be the comparison.
Yes, exactly. So they didn't answer I mean, they partly did, but they then partly started doing something else. So the first question, all I want is your point form notes and observations. The second one is where I wanted the comparison. So that's, yes, excellent. What else? Yeah, your point about joyful, less formal, those are all good points. Like, what makes it joyful? What do you hear? Is it the tempo? Is it the key? Is it the sound of the voices? I don't know. Yeah, Erin.
Like faster is also relative, like, what is it relative to? They're not mentioning that.
That's right. Yeah,
And
they,
then
yeah.
the one above that, no text to describe the performance, I feel like they definitely could have come up with something better than that.
A little more substantial, yeah,
Cause it's just,
yeah.
it's pretty clear already.
Not to do-
I mean, I would count it as a 10th, but really, yeah. Sorry,
Like
what you
Paula
said?
said.
It doesn't have to do with the performance.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Right.
yeah.
Derek, yeah.
Yeah, and also, where he speaks in the second performance, men and women are dancing, but they were dancing in the first performance
That's
also.
absolutely, yeah, that's right,
But
yeah.
I think you should give that person 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, that person is me.
Kind of like a 6, I think. So, I mean, it's a composite
Oh, I'm
one.
laughing at it. Six. At least in-
I think I would give it a 6 or 6.5, yeah.
I think the point of audience participation, is a good point, but they didn't elaborate.
Yes, yeah, how are they participating? Exactly. And the fact that we don't see we don't see the audience in the first one, so, yeah. We don't even know if there is an audience besides the camera person in the first one. Yeah, good. Let me just see if I had any other things I wanted to bring up.
I couldn't number the 10 points, so you know.
Yeah, then I don't have to count to 10 all the time. But it's good that they've done a first performance and second performance. I like that. That makes me happy. The repetitive thing, just keep an eye on that. A lot of people write that down, but is it the lyrics? Is it the melody? Is it the rhythm? Is it the dance? Like, what is repetitive? So that's, and it could be a whole bunch of things, but then name them for me, please. And the word costume, that's a little bit touchy. How about just clothing? We don't know if it's a costume or if it's, we don't know what it is. Uniform, just clothing is better, or dress, yeah.
For the, costume, the word costume. For this one, I feel like the biggest issue is that they just forgot to answer the question.
Yeah, just not enough details.
I feel like something like audience participation is probably like fine in this, like to answer the second question, because, you know, it's a substantial difference.
Yeah,
Maybe naming what it is,
yeah.
because what a substantial difference is, I'm not entirely sure.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, really, I'm gonna do any different. I'm gonna take any difference, but I put substantial there, so it's not like, well, they're wearing yellow in the first one and they're wearing pink in the second one, sort of thing, right? So that wouldn't be a substantial difference. But I mean, any of these I would, even the fact that there's the first one is set up with this advertising text stuff, and the second one is probably shot on somebody's cell phone or camera or something like that. I would count as a difference as long as you explain that difference. Good. Okay. So a second composite answer for this question would be this.
This is definitely 10 out of 10 without
Points.
Wait a minute, we don't make marks like that, so you work a lot harder than that. We read it, every word. Exactly,
Several.
exactly.
I mean, like, I'm sure they have their
Especially
points
the
there.
second question where it says good and points.
You live in a-
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
No
it's not
points,
following
have
the
they?
instructions.
Right, that makes me unhappy. It makes my eyes go funny.
This 10 points, how many people actually did what you asked for the first part?
Not very many, not very many. But some
Was
people
I
had
one of them?
literally 2 or 3 bullet points in the first one. Most people had 9 or 10. Some people, a couple people had like substantial. I mean, it probably wasn't keeping their pen moving the entire time, but it was very good.
I mean, it was the start of the course, though.
Now, I know, and I'm giving everybody lots of breaks, so, no, 10. So, yeah, so they divided the 2 questions, that's good, I like that. Ideally, it would be point form, the first one, ideally, the second one would number their things, that would make it all easier. So a couple things from the first answer. I like that they, they noticed that the CD was in harmony, it wasn't in unison. I like that they noticed the use of call and response. Incorporates traditional movement and dance. So that to me is interpretive. I don't know if it's traditional movement and dance. I don't even know what traditional movement and, I don't know. I don't imagine the people that answered that knew either but what does it mean? Well, maybe it means that it's not kind of popular dance moves, maybe. So just try to watch your interpretation of things like that, Derek.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if any of us research it further than what you presented, so that they would know it's traditional because they have done more research. Is that something that you consider, or you?
Well,
just
if
we
you do
just-
that, you need to put your source,
Okay,
and that's fine, but I'm not asking anybody to go beyond what's there. Yeah. Again, the idea of it being formal, but not telling me why it's formal. So I love that they bring up the informality and the relationship to the Celtic music that you guys talked about in first term. I thought that was really good. But again, their points are not always a comparison, are they? They're just points. Yeah, they're just observations. Yeah,
When
Colin.
it comes to the traditional thing, I guess, what was my thought? You would be able to infer that from what what the group's presentation, for sure, that like they're trying to do some sort of like cultural, like present themselves as some sort of like cultural thing, and that's like what they're trying to do, but I guess the important part is to actually say how to get out there.
Yeah, and this is something that we won't get into in this class, but cultural performance, like traditional tends to mean done the way it was in the past, or done the way it's always been done. There's that sort of inference to it. And a lot of choreographed folk or indigenous performances, like they wouldn't have been choreographed. So that right away, now they're saying traditional movement, they're not saying traditional choreography. But as soon as you get to something that's being choreographed and arranged, it's already different from the way. It's confusing. So yeah, it's a red flag, as long as you talk about it and explain that kind of the difficulty of that. But just to assume that it's traditional because, they're a cultural group in their cultural dress performing, that's not always right. Yeah, a lot of choreographed presentations adjust performances to a modern international audience. And so they're gonna change a lot of things to make it aesthetically pleasing to them. So, yeah, but that's into probably more complicated stuff than you want to do when you're doing 10 points or whatever. But I'd love it if somebody got into that kind of philosophical debate. That would be great. Anything else about either one?
I think you mentioned it before, but the differences are not very clear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, they're talking about specific things, but they're not stating why it's different.
that's right. Good, good, good. Yeah, good. I also, the detail then about how one woman dances and one man steps in to dance behind her, then another man dances behind her, and eventually a new woman will switch in. That sort of detail would have been awesome in the first one. And it's awesome here too, if you make the point that in the first one, it was all women dancing and they were dancing in a line and choreographed, and here there's this kind of interaction between the men and the women. So, you know, I'm not saying that either of these are bad or good, they're just, here are some ways of making it a stronger answer and a less strong answer. Okay, so any questions about that? The other one we're gonna look at now is the calypso one. Yeah, there.
Yeah, quick question. What did you mark the second one then? If you said the
Oh.
first one was 6 out of 10, what would you give the second one?
Lower.
Okay.
5.5, 5, because there wasn't a lot of comparison and there wasn't a lot of detail. 5, maybe, yeah. Okay, so, Pan Man Pat and Stop the Gravy Train. So just have a read through because it's been a few weeks since you've seen this. And I'll play a little bit of the performance. Derek, were you here when Rob Ford was mayor?
No, I've
You weren't
only
here
been here
yet.
from 2018.
Okay. So I'm the only one here alive enough to, or.
Well, I mean, I heard the story. I mean, I heard
Yeah.
what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that didn't escape me. I mean,
You were all alive enough, but yeah. So yeah, quite a crazy time. Anyway, what's your strategy for answering this? What do I want to see in your answer? And there's a lot of maybe red herrings there, which some people fell into the problem with the red herring. Yeah, Colin.
What does he do?
Yeah. Yeah, what does he do? Good.
That's probably the main point.
That is the main point. Yes, tell me
Well,
what,
the
yes.
Yeah.
Right,
So, like, especially with this one.
yeah,
So,
especially with this.
you know, I found it pretty easy.
Yeah.
You just watch what he does and then you point it out.
Yeah, but not just that though, because consider elements of the structure and arrangement of the song itself. So I need at least one point that answers that, as well as aspects of the performance, which is what you're talking about. Sorry. I told the TAs that if they had a emergency question that they could call me, but anyway. Okay. Yes.
So as Paula said, I'm gonna go as much detail as I can.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna connect everything together, like all the elements of music to his action and to music, through his connection between him and the audience, like everything, all of the thing that I'm watching.
Yeah, everything that has to do with getting the lyrics across. That's the main thing. It's not about the performance itself, but it's about getting the lyrics across using the structure and arrangement of the song and his performance. If there's other things, that's great too, but those are at least I want to see 1 point for each of those. Okay, good, good, good. Do you want to see hear a little bit of the performance again, just to remind you? He's so great. One of our doctoral students interviewed him and did a paper on him a few years ago. It was so good.
Yes, I came on stage with none other than my famous in the Calypso arena. He is a packet. He is a Calypsonian. He can trump a football career on a good day. Give him your biggest welcome.
Yeah. Okay, I love that performance. And kind of ironically, I kind of like this part of it too, is that the lyrics are hard to hear when you, because of the video, so yeah, I thought that was.
The cutting and cutting.
Yeah, you got the cutting and the
Stop.
cutting.
Stop the gravy train.
Okay, so here's the first answer.
I think the way he was dressed was interesting too.
Uh-huh.
He was dressed like a train conductor.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the hat and the, ain't that right, son?
Overalls.
Yeah, overall, yeah.
I don't feel like it's short on, we might have been trying to also be dressed like the garbage man, 'cause I know that was one of the key points of debate for spending at the time.
Could have been. I read it as a train engineer, but it could be. All this is open to interpretation.
I'm sorry, I got a different, this is Rob was a controversial mayor, and so many Antonians did not like him. But his politics like, well, my wife told me everybody loved him. Oh, okay, sorry. Well,
He was very
I'll have to go back in.
controversial.
I'll really go back in.
It's kind of hard to tell because he was never able to run for re-election because he ended up dying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I heard that people, I think that's what she said, but what do I?
That's
See,
true of
people
most-
who
that's
love-
true of most politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, that says not qualified.
So what do you think? What would you give
Yeah, I like
this?
that. Sorry.
No, you're right.
Think about, like, people who loved him, and people who hated him, hated him.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Much like any politician.
Yeah.
What would you give this out of 10? Who would give it 10 out of 10? 9 out of 10? 8 out of 10? 7 out of 10? 6 out of 10? 5 out of 10?
Let's be nice.
4 out of 10? Let's be nice.
I'll give it 4 or 5.
3, 2, 1, nothing. Aaron, you're on the fence.
I don't even know.
Aaron, don't be
Thing.
sure.
I think it's question.
I would say, I would need to see the question.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I need the question.
Okay, let me show you the question because this really is the crux of this, the crux of
I don't
this
think
is the
it's
question.
Really answer the question
Yeah.
to the detail that you want. It doesn't, yeah.
There's the question.
Like, how is the show?
How
So-
does
so-
Pat,
so-
here's the question, how does Pat get the lyrics across to his listeners in this performance? Consider elements of the structure and arrangement of the song itself, as well as aspects of its performance.
I don't think they mentioned the structure at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than the audience participation.
Yeah. whenever that-
Also barely mentions the
and
lyrics.
Pat's, of course,
Kind of just-
separates them pretty
They
good.
talk more about Rob Ford than anything else.
Kind of just
Yeah.
said, screw
Yeah.
forward. The song is okay. Forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm leaning towards the 3, 4, 2.5 range. Because he really-
Because they didn't answer like
He-
anything.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
vaguely mentioned things. but-
Yeah,
No, the first half is just about Ford.
No,
yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
They
Pardon, what'd you say, Colin?
did submit it.
Yeah. And you can tell they watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
So-
used ChatGPT.
No, that's true. They did not use
Excellent.
that.
Excellent.
You are too nice.
Mm.
Okay, so yes, they submitted it. They used, you can tell that they at least watched part of the performance. But
Maybe it would have been better if they used ChatGPT.
Yeah. I think you could give them 5 for everything that they've put together. Watch it.
Generous, my friend.
yeah, 5 is
5?
very
That's
tough.
generous.
The effort and effort.
I'm really scared
I
if
wonder if
it's
that's
out.
nice.
Minimal effort.
I don't get
Nice. Now I don't remember what I wrote.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, don't be horrible.
It's not yours. This is composite. I took a
Oh.
few things from various
Oh.
people and put it together.
Okay, great.
And changed a few
Thank
things. I don't want anybody to feel targeted here, okay?
I suppose-
So, yeah, it's pretty not good. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I do think they got 3 to 5 sentences, so that's also a good thing. Yeah, technically speaking, okay.
Did it? 3 to 5 sentences.
So let's look at example 2. I think we can say that this is one of the weaker ones. So here's number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm copying and pasting from various,
And I caught me up.
Pat right across the keyboard.
It's really
I don't think
detailed.
that's, I don't think that's any better than the first one.
It's, I would
It's
say
there.
like 3 of the sentences address the question rather than 1.
Yeah.
But there's also 7 sentences when there's supposed to be 5, so you had more room to.
I think if this were the first term, it would, the first semester, it would probably get 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think based on your guidelines, it like, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6.5.
7,
How about the paragraph was like explaining?
because it doesn't really qualify most of the statements.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
It
So
does address them slightly better than the last one though.
Pardon?
It addresses them slightly better than the last.
It
one.
does. Yeah, this is why it's, 6 instead of 2.5. Yeah. So he talks about body language, but
It doesn't explain.
yeah, he doesn't say what the body language is. So doesn't stand in one spot on the stage, but uses the space for moving, dancing, and using his hands and arms in his performance. So what part of the question does that answer?
Read that again, he doesn't just stand on the one spot.
Does that help his answer? Does that support his answer?
Not particularly. It begins to answer the second half, but does not incorporate it into the first.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So he doesn't say how this movement, he starts to describe it, but he doesn't make the link to the lyrics.
Yeah.
What does it have to do with getting across the lyrics? Just by jumping around is not going to express the lyrics. Sometimes he leans forward as if to interact with the audience so that the audience can better understand the meaning of the lyrics. I like that point. I do like that when he's singing like that. However, the fact that he's on stage and he's actually singing into a mic, like if it was a cabaret performance and there's no mic and there's, you know, your audience is right there, you're singing like this to people, that's really gonna help get the lyrics across. He's using that idea, that performative idea, but he's on a huge stage. The audience is back there. He's actually singing to a mic, so you know the volume doesn't probably change. Anyway, but I like the attempt there. It's a good, yeah. Paul.
Still nothing on the structure.
That's right, exactly.
There is no musical.
The upbeat nature of the song. What does that mean?
I remember like, what is upbeat?
Yes, yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
What
Good,
is
Matt. I
jazzy?
like
What is-
Matthew.
Yeah.
I like
I
Matthew.
like being,
Pardon?
I like.
I like that. Very
Um,
nice guy.
and how does the upbeat nature make a song more memorable? And what does being memorable have to do with understanding the lyrics? So there's all that, there's a lack of logic
Yeah,
here.
I feel like if they reverse some of the points, like the rhythm of the drums is what makes it upbeat. Like if they had like took the things from that sentence and changed them so that it like made more clear, like more clarity, it would be better.
That, yeah, yeah,
I feel as though they start a point, like build something up and then just leave it there.
yeah,
And don't like finish it off.
yes,
So they have to.
Cause I'm saying that like even just the 2 points we talked about, like they had something there,
yeah, yeah.
but they never finished. it.
Yeah. I feel like they have a sense of what is important to answer the question, but they don't make the logical connection between their point and how it answers the question. So you can kind of sense that they're heading in the right direction, but what they need is somebody there going, yes, but tell me more about that. Yes, but tell me how that works, right? So use a little voice in your head, right? That's gonna say those questions to you. Assume there's a little voice. Hear Matthew, the other Matthew, say to you, but what does that mean? Are you sure that, you know, use that voice? Yeah.
Sentence also is just like not correct, like in English.
Yeah.
Like grammar, like
Well, yeah, but I
It's a
don't
little
worry
bit
too much about
long.
that. I'm not gonna worry too much about that for the forums. I'm not actually marking writing, and I realize that many people are writing in their third or fourth language. So I do try really hard to understand. Yeah. But yes, it's ideal if you take time to go back and actually correct that. That also makes it easier for us, which makes us happier. Which, you know, a happy marker is a happy student. There is no slogan about that, but there should be, shouldn't there?
There isn't one. If there was a judge who said what I had for lunch is more important than your argument for my decision.
Whoa.
There goes my life.
And I kind of like the last sentence there, although it doesn't answer the question at all. But I like the fact that he's thinking about, well, I heard some out of tune singing, but it's not important, is it? So again, it doesn't build the argument, doesn't answer the question, but I'd probably give him a half an extra mark just because he or she, or they heard the out of tuneness, which is, yeah,
How much did this person lose for writing 7 sentences when he said 3 to 5?
probably not much. Yeah, I'm kind of grasping for points for the most part. So use it, if this person wrote 20 sentences, then I would just take the first half and read it. But yeah. I should say approximately 3 to 5 sentences, yeah. Okay, is that helpful? Yeah,
I think
Aaron.
in parentheses, it says there's a lot of syncopation that reflects Caribbean culture, but what if the reader doesn't know Caribbean culture?
Yeah, and what does it have to do with it
With
doesn't
the
answer the
question,
question,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, maybe it shows that they've done some reading on Caribbean culture, or
that they wrote this after Jesse's lecture or something, but it doesn't answer the question, so it doesn't help. Sometimes not saying stuff is like, yeah, it's better not to just try to fill it up with points that don't answer the question, because you are making it worse, yeah.
I think if a deaf person that's read this will not hear the music
Ah, that's a good
and will
point.
not imagine the music. So I think. if-
But wait a minute, so I think you're right, but is that the question I'm asking? What does this music sound like?
No,
No.
but they're gonna read this question and the answer that we provided gonna make them imagine how the lyrics gonna like.
That's
connect to the
true,
audience.
that's true, and they wouldn't get that from this, you're right, absolutely.
So, for example, they have to explain how the syncopation gonna like connect to the lyrics. And the
Exactly,
audience gonna get that, wow, it's a syncopation and the lyrics is getting.
yeah, some people tend to, syncopation it seems to grab people, right? Because it catches you off guard, that's the point of syncopation, is it's not where it's expected. So that is gonna maybe make people listen to that a little bit more. Good. So if you make that argument, even though, can we prove that that's true? We probably can't prove that that's true, but at least it makes sense and it's helping to build an argument. Okay, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt because to me, that makes sense. And you know, if you ever write something that makes total sense to you and you don't seem to get the marks that you think you should for it, you're welcome to go to your TA. And if it's me that marked it, come to me and say, look, I really think you missed this thing, which I think is really good. And here's my argument for this. And if it makes sense to me, then I'm happy to change it, right? I don't live in your heads, thank God. You don't live in mine. So sometimes we need that little extra interpretation, which is totally, I think, fine. But do your best to get it there, right? Yeah. Okay, any questions about anything having to do with, so your forum answers for the next 4 weeks are gonna be right on answering the question. They're gonna be detailed, they're gonna be formatted so that it's really obvious where the answers are, right? You're gonna use vocabulary that we've talked about in class or in readings. You're gonna explain things. I'm not gonna read upbeat or happy or joyful, right? Yeah, perfect. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm here to do kind of office hours if anybody has individual questions they'd like to ask. Otherwise, I will see you Tuesday, hopefully in person in ACE 001, but if not, then on Zoom. Okay? Thanks, guys. Thanks for helping with the tech stuff too.
I didn't do it.
Well, no, you didn't, but you tried, so that counts.